Hello, my dear friends. Today I am talking about extra reading materials. There is a constant demand from the part of class 1 and 2 teachers for extra reading materials. That's why I am going to talk about extra reading materials today. Do children actually like extra reading materials? What do you think? Yeah, they do like extra reading materials provided that they have certain qualities. You often provide reading materials which contains the repetitive sentences that the children have already familiarized through their textbooks. Say, for example, this is a car, this is a small car, this is a red car, the car is on the road, etc., etc. Do you think they like to read them? No, not at all. Previously, when you process these sentences in the classroom, you are presenting all these sentences as part of a context that you have made in the class as part of the idea of car or as part of the idea of bus. This is not the context when you place all these sentences together in a chart or in a reading material accompanied by the picture of a car, for example. Now let us discuss what are the characteristics of a fine reading materials that the children actually like. We are going to talk about that. As I mentioned earlier, children like to read. Read what? Read things to which they are interested in. എന്താണ് കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ഏറ്റവും താല്പര്യമുള്ള വായനാ സാമഗ്രി? No doubt they are stories. So you can provide them stories for additional reading. But when you provide stories for additional reading to beginners, you should consider some very important points. Number one, the stories should contain attractive pictures. Number two, the content of the story must be related to things which are familiar to them, what we call level specific content. So the content must be level specific, number one. It must be followed by attractive pictures, and when the children turn the pages, they must get an idea, a vague idea about what is happening as part of the story. But what we do actually when we present these stories, in between the pages, we will be putting certain expressions in the form of statements, events, or in the form of dialogues. So here we are putting these statements or sentences in the story which the child needs to read because he wants to know what happens later. For this purpose, the child will be reading those dialogues or statements which are given as part of the story. Finally, the language of the story. The story must contain expressions and words familiar to the children. There, you can use the expressions or the structural aspects that you have already introduced to them as part of the classroom transaction. But keep in mind that you are presenting these structural aspects or the vocabulary in a different context. That is the context of the story. This sort of treatment will help children read additional materials voluntarily without any compulsion from your part. You just provide these story materials, these reading materials. They will voluntarily read these materials, not because of your compulsion, but because of the interest the reading material altogether generates. So these things must be kept in mind when you think about additional reading materials. Don't provide these repeated sentences altogether and don't ask them to read repeatedly. That's a boring exercise that doesn't create any sense at all. And perhaps you may think that this repeated reading will facilitate language acquisition. No, not the repeated reading of the same sentences that you introduce as part of the class, but the reading of those expressions or vocabulary in different contexts as part of a story to which the children are interested in will help them learn English in a better way. That's all for today. Thank you very much.